What these men found here was something extremely bizarre. Imagine just doing your normal job as usual and coming across something that simply shouldn't be there. This is exactly what happened to several people around the world who stumbled upon totally bizarre discoveries. And today, you'll get to know each one of them. Are you curious? Join us and let's go. Number 12. The Lost Valentine Tank. January 2025 marked an extraordinary discovery in the marshes of Poland. A rare British Valentine tank, used by the Red Army during World War II, emerged from the muddy depths where it had been hidden for almost 80 years. This was no ordinary find. It was the only preserved example of this model in all of Europe. The Valentine was known for its versatility in extreme conditions. Designed to handle the most challenging terrain, this tank could cross muddy fields and frozen rivers without much difficulty. The unit found probably sank during an attempt to cross the River W in 1945, during the Soviet advance into Poland. Recovering the tank was a real engineering challenge. Divers worked in near-zero visibility conditions, groping in the dark to secure the lifting cables without damaging the historic structure. The state of preservation surprised experts. Several internal components remained intact, protected by the mud that had surrounded them for decades. Each battle mark, serial number, and modification on the tank tells a different story. Historians are now working to reconstruct its trajectory, from its manufacture in England to its final destination in the Polish marshes. The restoration process promises to reveal even more secrets about war tactics and the adaptations made by the Soviets to Allied equipment. Number 11. The sunken city of Lake Powell. In 2021, something incredible happened at Lake Powell on the Utah-Arizona border. The water level dropped so low that an entire town emerged from the depths. Streets, foundations of houses, and even a church emerged like ghosts from the past, revealing Haight, Utah, a community that had been underwater for more than 60 years. Haight was a thriving mining town until 1964, when the construction of the Glen Canyon Dam flooded the valley. Residents were forced to abandon their homes, leaving behind an entire town. With the historic drought, structures that had not been seen for decades were resurfaced, including the old gas station and post office. Researchers raced to document everything before the waters rose again. They found personal items, mining tools, and even documents preserved by the arid environment. The town revealed fascinating details about life in the American West during the early 20th century, from construction techniques to the daily habits of the residents. Number 10. The Flying Geyser of Nevada. In the Nevada desert, something extraordinary is bubbling up from the ground. The Fly Geyser, an accidental hot spring that looks like it came from another planet. It all started in 1916 when workers drilled a well in search of water for irrigation. What they found was boiling underground water, completely unsuitable for agriculture. The current geyser was created in 1964 when a second drilling operation released the accumulated pressure. The water continuously shoots up to a height of more than 1.5 meters, creating a mineral cone that never stops growing. The most impressive thing about it is its vibrant colors. Shades of red and green cover the entire structure, the result of thermophilic algae that thrive in the hot water. The area around the geyser has evolved into a unique ecosystem. Pools and terraces of minerals have formed naturally, creating an alien landscape of 74 acres in the middle of the desert. Water constantly flows down, feeding a series of small, multicolored ponds that contrast sharply with the surrounding arid environment. I have a question for you. First, I'd like to tell you that it's possible to keep up with the biggest curiosities of our world every day. But for that, you need to be subscribed to our channel. So, have you subscribed yet? If not, take the opportunity to subscribe now. Now that you've done that, let's go. Number 9. The Secret Arctic Laboratory. In 2023, Russian scientists discovered something incredible in the Arctic ice, a perfectly preserved Soviet laboratory from the 1950s. The NP-22 station was frozen 100 meters underground, holding Cold War secrets that no one expected to find. Inside the lab, everything was just as the team had left it when they had hastily abandoned the site in 1959. On the benches, test tubes still held samples of Arctic plankton. Analog computers, the size of refrigerators, continued to display the latest measurements. The craziest part? A giant freezer held organisms that science had never even recognized at the time. The researchers were shocked by the state of preservation of the material. The extreme cold even preserved the scientists' diaries, revealing secret experiments with bacteria that survive in the ice. Among the equipment found was an experimental sonar that used technology that was only invented decades later. Number 8. Prehistoric giants at the Argentine farm. An ordinary day of work on the farm turned into a historic discovery when Juan de la Soja stumbled upon something incredible. In the middle of a dry riverbed, something huge and peculiar caught his eye. As he approached and brushed off the dust, he came face to face with one of the most astonishing discoveries in modern paleontology. 4 perfectly preserved glyptodonts. These ancestors of modern armadillos were living tanks, with a size that rivaled a Volkswagen Beetle. Each shell was approximately 3 meters long and weighed an estimated 1,000 pounds. The discovery caused a stir in the scientific community, especially since all 4 specimens were aligned in the same direction, as if they had been caught in a migration. The Pampa Institute of Archaeological and Paleontological Research quickly sent a team to the site. Scientists were amazed at the state of preservation of the fossils. The shells retained minute details of their hexagonal structure, a characteristic that made these animals virtually indestructible in life. Removing the fossils required heavy machinery and specialized techniques to avoid damaging the pieces. Further analysis revealed that these glyptodonts lived around 20,000 years ago, during the Pleistocene period. What is most fascinating is that the 4 specimens were at different stages of development, suggesting that they could be members of the same family. The arrangement of the bodies and the soil conditions indicate that they may have been victims of a sudden flood, which surprised them during a possible migration in search of food. Number 7. The New Mexico Game Cemetery. In 1983, Atari faced a major problem. Millions of cartridges for the game E.T., based on the Spielberg film, were sitting on shelves. The solution? Bury them all in the middle of the New Mexico desert. For 30 years, the story seemed like an urban legend, until in 2014, a team of diggers discovered the truth. In the middle of nowhere, under tons of concrete and sand, lay more than 700,000 video game cartridges. The site, near the city of Alamogordo, held not only copies of E.T., but also other games that Atari tried to make disappear. The excavation revealed a true time capsule of the gaming industry, with cartridges still in their original packaging. The burial took place in the early hours of the morning, with trucks dumping load after load of video games and consoles. Atari tried to keep it a secret, but locals witnessed the operation. The company later covered the entire place with concrete, hoping that no one would ever find out. The site became a landmark in video game history, a testament to the number 6, the giant hand of the desert. In Chile's Atacama Desert, a colossal hand rises from the sand. The sculpture, Mano del Desierto, created by artist Mario Arrazabal in 1992, is 11 meters tall and appears to emerge from the depths of the earth. Located 75 kilometers south of Antofagasta, the work stands out in the vastness of the driest desert in the world. The iron and concrete structure withstands extreme weather conditions, from scorching daytime heat to freezing desert nights. Over the years, the hand has become the target of graffiti, but local volunteers work tirelessly to keep the structure clean and preserved. The choice of location was no accident. Positioned along the Pan American Highway, the giant hand serves as a landmark for travelers crossing the desert. The outstretched fingers pointing to the sky have created a unique landmark that attracts visitors from around the world, transforming an empty stretch of desert into a memorable artistic destination. Number 5. The Underwater Highway of the Bahamas. 20 feet below the surface of the ocean, near North Bimini Island in the Bahamas, there's something that has everyone scratching their heads. The famous Bimini Road is a formation of rectangular limestone blocks that stretches for more than half a mile in a straight line, looking like an ancient paved road underwater. Ever since an American pilot spotted this formation in 1968, divers and archaeologists have been visiting the site. The blocks are so well aligned that many people think it is impossible for them to be the work of nature. Joseph Manson Valentine and Jack Mayol, 2 underwater archaeologists, spent years studying each stone along the underwater path. Nowadays, Bimini Road has become a hotspot for divers from all over the world. The area is home to incredible marine life, with colorful corals and tropical fish swimming among the mysterious rocks. Local guides love to share the craziest theories about the place, from a lost city to an underwater alien base. But the explanation most accepted by scientists is that it is all the result of a natural process where the sand and sediments harden over time. Number 4. The Lost Library of the Sahara. In 2024, a sandstorm in the Sahara exposed something extraordinary: an underground library with more than 5,000 perfectly preserved manuscripts. Located in southern Libya, the discovery included texts in Greek, Arabic, and ancient languages that had not yet been deciphered. The library was protected in a sealed chamber built with advanced ventilation techniques that kept the documents dry for centuries. Some manuscripts dated back to the 3rd century, containing texts on mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and literature. Among the most important discoveries was a complete treatise on celestial navigation. The library's preservation system was ingenious. The walls were specially composed to regulate humidity, while underground ducts maintained a constant temperature. The manuscripts were organized on stone shelves, each protected by leather covers treated with natural antimicrobial substances. Number 3. The Forgotten Greenland Air Base. Deep in the icy landscape of East Greenland, Bluey East 2 stands as a time capsule from World War II. Built in 1942 by the U.S. military, the base served as a strategic hub for rescue missions and weather monitoring. During its peak, more than 300 people lived and worked at this Arctic outpost. The site has a dark history of neglect and environmental contamination. More than 10,000 barrels of jet fuel were left behind when the base was decommissioned in 1947. Many of these containers still contain toxic material, slowly poisoning the soil and water in the area. In 2018, the Danish government pledged €4 million to clean up the site, but work has been slow due to the extreme conditions. The abandoned buildings tell silent stories of wartime. In the workshops, rusty tools still rest on workbenches. The cafeteria has plates and cutlery on the tables, as if people had only left for a moment. On the communication towers, antiquated radio equipment remains fixed in its positions, silent for decades. Number 2. The Viking Ship in the Mountains. In 2019, archaeologists made a discovery on a mountaintop in Norway that challenged everything they knew about Viking navigation. A complete ship, more than 20 meters long, was buried 850 meters above sea level. The most surprising thing? It dated back to the 9th century. The ship was incredibly well preserved thanks to the frozen ground. They found not only the main structure but also everyday artifacts, dishes, tools, weapons, and even food remains. The ship's position so far from the sea suggested that the Vikings had advanced techniques for transporting vessels over land. The excavation revealed that the ship had been deliberately placed there, probably as part of a burial ritual for an important leader. Inside, they found human remains along with valuable objects, including gold jewelry and ornate weapons. It was a burial fit for a Viking king. Number 1. The Island of Volcanoes. On the southern coast of South Korea, Jeju Island holds the secrets of 1.8 million years of volcanic history. The place is so special that in 2007, UNESCO declared it a World Heritage Site. In the middle of the island, Mount Holosun rises imposingly at 1,950 meters high, making it the highest point in all of South Korea. One of the most incredible attractions is Songsan Ilchulbong, also known as Sunrise Peak. This volcano was born underwater between 50,000 and 120,000 years ago in an explosion that must have been spine-chilling. Today, tourists from all over the world climb up there to see the most famous sunrise in Asia. But the real show is happening underground. Jeju has over 120 lava tubes discovered so far. The Geomonorim system alone is 36 kilometers long. Inside these caves, nature has created works of art, stalactites and stalagmites, that look like they came straight out of a fantasy film. And that's not all. The island is home to 4,000 species of animals and 1,800 different types of plants, from tropical vegetation to plants that only grow in polar climates. Are you seeing this video that is now appearing on the screen? We have set it aside especially for you to watch. So take advantage and click on it right now. Well, that's it, and until next time, Curious One.